Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to Adam's Quest. In the last episode, we made it to our very first mountain biome. Adam's family has never ever seen the mountain before, and to be honest, they are in for quite the shock. There are many dangers that are unique to the mountains, like the balance bears for instance, and I feel like that's probably what's haunting the visions of the oracles right now. It seems like these massive creatures are going to be the worst for our tribe. They're all going to have to band together if they want to take it down. And for some of our creatures, our shadows and our bluebird leaders, that is much easier said than done. Tavon is already feeling the chill of the mountain air. He's already lost a little bit of energy. He's feeling a little bit warmer now with the sight of this brand new baby, and that's probably because he's half shadow himself. He was from the joining between Daylight and Beowulf, and with his dark fur and those antennas. I wonder if Tavon is thinking about using this baby for his purposes. I mean, he's strong enough too that he wouldn't have to worry about going into the mountains alone. He can handle himself out here with this big body and medium tail, so that has to be very, very promising for our little shadow prince. And it probably makes him feel like he still doesn't really have to join forces with the might of the sun. Isme, however, our brand new ancient creature, who we found right next to the ports inside one of the glaciers, I feel like she's really taken a shining to Daybreak in particular. He probably reminds her of so many of her old tribe mates. He's warm and he's strong, and though he might not have these saber fangs, he sure has captured her interest. I think it helps that he's one of our only gravediggers, so he's the one helping ensure that all of her family's souls are put to rest. In fact, I think Nuvon has found another route back here, so maybe we should have them follow the trail toward the roots? Oh, and it looks like we have a little crabbit out here too? Oh, I'm sure that Trinket has seen this thing. In fact, the crabbits are purple, so they probably remind her of Nuvon as well. Maybe she's wondering if she could take all of those shells that she gathered and bring it to him as a gift. She does quite believe in the treasures of the sea after all, so she would probably think that this is a wonderful gift indeed. We'll have her scoot right up here so she can settle down next to him, because he'll be busy clearing out all of this grass anyway. Beowulf entrusted Daylight and his baby's safety to Nuvon, so he's taking his role very, very seriously. Now come on up here, Daybreak. We'll have you scoot up to the front, so you should be able to pop these roots for us. And of course, Isme is going to follow too, though not before picking up the grass over here, because I want to make sure that she can keep a close eye on that bunny burrow. If we leave our creatures one tile away from it, then hopefully they'll start spawning soon. I suppose we could have Tavanku help Daylight by picking up the nest for her. I feel like he's going to stay by her side too. He wants to make sure that this brand new little baby is going to be kept safe after all, and he is the only healer that we have. In fact, why don't we move him right here, so he can purr for all of our creatures, including his mischievous brother. He knows that Tavon is getting a little bit cold, and he has a feeling that he's going to go out exploring, so he wants to make sure that no harm will befall him. Actually, that's a pretty good way for him to do it. We already know that Tavanku does not like babysitting his younger brother, so by giving him a little bit of that purring magic, I guess it's ensuring that he won't get too hurt in his travels. Let's bring him over here, a little bit further away from the main group, but I feel like he would want to gaze out at the water anyways. Oh my goodness, okay. I didn't mean to move him there, and it looks like the leeches have caught a whiff of them too. Okay, Tavon, clearly you have a mind of your own today. Well, I guess it's pretty fitting. The one thing about the shadows is that they follow the laws of the bandits, so he's probably expecting to find some base out here somewhere that they could loot. Yes, and then take back all of the food for the brand new little baby. So he did find something useful, but he's going to be in a bit of trouble if somebody doesn't rush to save him. And poor little soul. Oh, look at this guy left all on his own again. He's so quiet that I feel like a lot of creatures forget about him, but he's so dedicated to his role too. He's probably just looking for more of those worms to dig up. I think there were some more over here too, so let's have him use this pile, and that way he can spend some time with the crabbit over here too, who it appears may have actually been guarding one of the shells. Oh, Trinket, you missed out. You could have offered up another shell to Newvan, but then I suppose she wouldn't have caught up with him because he probably would have moved on by then. Now I do see that the leech is definitely eyeing up you, Tavon, so if we move one more creature, you're probably going to get snacked on. But to be honest, I kind of want it to happen. I feel like it would be more fitting of a story if he ignored the leeches until they were actually on his fur. So once we skip the day here, he's going to have to skitter right on back to his brother's side so he can heal him of all the damage. But it looks like our plans of luring out the bunnies have definitely worked. Excellent, Isme. You may have been trapped in that ice for a while, but you still know your stuff. So before we move to Vaughn, let's have her jump over here. Did I see something else move? Oh, that's the clown koi. Okay, so it looks like the clown koi are spawning inside this little river. That's good to know. I suppose Trinket could always try her hand at catching some, but aside from that, there are no other dangers out here. So go ahead and scoop up this bunny for us. I guess we'll have you pick up the meat too. I'm sure that Daybreak could use a snack after digging all of those graves for you. Now come on back here, Tavon. Come on back to your brother's side before you end up attracting any unwanted attention. He can pick off the leech, lick your wounds, and then scold you for being so reckless. But it's just not getting through to you, huh? Something tells me that he's still not convinced, and it's going to take something particularly big to sway him from his current path. But now Daylight and her baby are both awake, and I think it might be time for us to set up another vision for them, another omen if you will. I wonder if perhaps, after realizing that the cold weather is settling in, maybe she'll take this as something of a timer for our tribe. In fact, maybe she's worried that the tribe is leaving themselves a little bit too exposed out here. And knowing that we have the safe havens waiting toward the middle of the island, maybe that's where she'll guide our tribe next. So as she and her baby wake from their slumber, the tribe will be surprised to see a quiver of fear overtake her and her antennas. She'll tell them that they must make it to the safe haven before it's too late, or else they risk getting totally annihilated by the dangers of the mountains. And so that might be your cue to leave the little crabbit behind. Unfortunately, he won't be able to do much with him anyways, and I'm sure that he would also sense that, since he does have those antennas too. So we'll have him linger on the outskirts, maybe tuck himself into the grasses over here. We could even have him pick up a little bit of the grass around him, that way his tribe can still move freely. And as for the rest of them, I guess we're going to have to pick somebody to carve the path. And I feel like Newvan would probably be the best one for the job. He's still very, very dedicated to making sure that Daylight is safe. So he'll be the one to carve the path ahead. We'll have him pick up the grass with Daybreak perhaps. He can jump up here too, break through that gate, and that will leave Newvan to lunge behind the rock. Perhaps as a way to sniff around, just to make sure that nothing dangerous has spawned out here in the meantime. So far it looks like the pathway is clear, so I guess that means you can call out to Daylight. But I mean, she's not going to want to leave her little baby behind. He only has one gem to his name, so he can't move very far. So as we move Trinket and Newvan's shadow, let's then have Daylight settle down right next to her baby and just clear out the extra little patches of grass around him. She's in good company though. Tavon might unnerve her, but Tavanku is quite different. She probably realizes that too. She wouldn't want to voice it right in front of their leader, of course, but these two couldn't be more opposite. Tavanku seems to have quite the caring soul, if not just from his healing powers, but also because he wants to make sure that everybody makes it to the safe haven, that nobody gets left behind. Now that just leaves Trinket to perhaps dive into the water. I feel like she definitely would. She probably sees the algae in the distance too, and since she is trailing right in Newvan's shadow, trying desperately to grab his attention, I think gathering algae for Ness would be high on her mind too. But until the tribe makes it to that safe haven, I don't think you're going to find him too interested in settling down, so you might be out of luck for now, Trinket. But let's go ahead and skip the day again, and see if anything is going to spawn around our tribe this time. Hopefully no balance bears. I didn't hear anything spawn, so we might be safe still. The only problem is that relentless cold. Nuvan is starting to feel the chill too, and unfortunately the toxic body really doesn't offer much in the way of cold resistance. So I think he's going to have to request a little bit of help from Daybreak. Or more fittingly, I think that Daybreak is going to come over here and help him whether he likes it or not. Daybreak is like the embodiment of the sun. He might not have the heat body, but I feel like just being around him would be enough to thaw some of that ice. That's why Izmi can't help but be pulled in his direction too. Let's bring her over here so she can settle down right beside him. And now it looks like Frost Owl might have his second gem. So we'll give him the pink one since he is technically an oracle as well, whether or not he feels any of the shadow's influence. And speaking of which, there's one creature here who I don't feel like would stick around any longer. As soon as he hears the oracle's visions, he is going to be gone. He has to go check out this safe haven for himself after all. He probably figures he would be doing his mother proud if he swept in first and took everything that was waiting for them beneath its branches. Surely there's something there that our tribe can eat, but just in case there isn't, maybe you should pick up the last of these berries. In fact, let's have Frost Owl do it. He only has 1 point in collecting anyways, and there was only one little berry to munch on. And then you can scoot on up here to be right next to your mother. So it is definitely slow moving for this pair, but I'm sure that Tavanku understands, and Daylight must be very grateful. And now that Tavan is out of earshot, I guess these two can talk about him a little bit more. We'll bring her up here to pick up more of that grass, perhaps revealing her little brother's soul. Oh, you poor little thing. Come on in here so you can be part of this puddle of warmth too. I'm surprised that he's held out this long actually. Those big ears of his can only cause him to lose heat. It actually takes away from his cold resistance too. So he's another creature who's quite likely to get cold in the mountains. I guess it's kind of negating the medium tail, but at least with the medium body, he's faring better than somebody with the water body, for instance. So Trinket, scoot on up here, because I think I also see some fish. So not only can you scoop up the algae, but if you play your cards right, you might be able to grab a nice fresh meal for your tribe too. That way, once we do make it underneath that tree, you could share it with Nuvan. I hope he's going to have enough time in his lifespan. With the cold weather too, he's probably really feeling his mortality right now. Well, let's bring him up to the top of the hill. We can gaze down at the koi fish and light up a little bit more of the stream for the rest of the tribe. You guys are going to have to follow behind him, of course. Don't want him getting too cold. And we'll have Izmi go ahead and collect the berries that she has right over here. So can you guys potentially smell into the darkness? Whoa! Oh my gosh, look at all these roots that we have to dig up. How many family members did you have on this mountain, Izmi? She must have had a gigantic family. I wonder if that means when it's her time to have some children, if she's going to want to have a really big family too. I suppose that would make sense because more bodies means more warmth. And when it does start to snow on later mountains, we're going to have to keep that in mind for sure. Now, Nuvan, it looks like you could actually grab one of these little fish. Oh, won't Trinket be impressed? She thought she was the only one who could do any fishing around here, but she was clearly wrong. You know, that was probably from Beowulf. He taught him how to fish so well. When there weren't any Beryenas for them to slay, they would just collect the fish that lingered in the tide pools. Now, it looks like all is still well in the mountains. No dangers. But I did see a little shell down here. Oh, Trinket, that's going to be hard for you to resist, huh? But she is starting to get cold again. Well, you have the dead clown koi to collect. I think that's going to have to be enough. But then, as she struggles to break herself free from the water, she's going to be setting herself up for another very cold night. Tavan probably doesn't even realize that she needs help right now, just like he does too. Though I do feel like he would feel a little bit of a connection between himself and her family. She also has water-breathing powers, just like he does with his water body. So he's probably just thinking that she's doing good work for the tribe, coming down here to pillage the bunnies' land and steal all of their berries. So don't you worry, Trinket, the bandits are very proud of you. Suppose all we can really do is have Devon leap into the water now, and that at least lights the way for his scouts to leap across the stream. Oh, stumbling straight into a nest. Yes, this truly is a safe haven. Oh, I love it when things work out like that. Go ahead and grab those berries and then jump over here too. You guys are going to be very, very impressed with his findings. There's bunnies galore out here as well. I suppose Nuvan would probably go chasing after them. Now that he's ensured the safety of this area, he would be a bit more concerned with collecting food for the babies too. Oh my gosh, and look how much food we have out here. Acorns, berries, bunnies, and roots. Yes, I am so glad we left that swampland behind. This is going to be where we restore our food supplies again. Perhaps it would even be easier for us to bring our oracles down the shore instead. Can any of you pick up that shell? It looks like none of these creatures have the nimble fingers, so they're going to have to leave it to Trinket. But you know, Tavanku, you could potentially leap all the way over here to grab this bunny. I wonder if that would be a good way to show Frost Howl how it's done. I feel like that's probably the only reason why he would leave these creatures behind. Oh no. Oh, you have the lean body. I forgot. You are not anything like your brother, so I keep forgetting you're one of those nimble shadows too. I thought with those ram horns he would be able to take care of it. Well, that was kind of a fail, wasn't it, Frost Howl? But you understand that he was trying his best. And Daylight's probably giggling behind him. Maybe she could even leap up here and finish off the job. Oh, that was a different bunny? Oh, they're spinning you two in circles. Even oracles aren't immune to bunny mischief. Well, at least there are still a couple of little tasty morsels for you guys to share. And what do you think about all of this soul? I think you guys make for a pretty goofy little family. Here they are finding little spots of joy and fun, even in a place as harsh and cold as the mountains. Now poor Trinket is going to have to use all of that algae that she gathered just to keep herself warm. I could see her wrapping it around herself, as if that's going to shield herself from the winter's chill. But clearly it's not working as she anticipated. Though I suppose now that Nuvan is so close by, maybe these two actually would cross paths? In fact, maybe as she lets out a little cry for help, he would be the one to jump to her aid. He knows how you feel after all, and the warmth of someone you care for must be much, much better than some damp algae. So we'll have her offer up some of those little special trinkets that she found. The shells, the extra algae of course, maybe some of those fish in the water. And I wonder if he would be impressed enough to consider starting a family with her. They have so much potential for some really great water babies, despite the cold being so harsh on them. 2 of those claws would not only ensure that they could scoop up any fish in the water, but they could also keep our creatures safe. And they would have a great way to get around the land too, with the stream right in the middle. They could just swim upstream and right back down the waterfall to get where they need to go. So let's make sure that we place the gills into Nuvan's mutation menu. We want to make sure that that stays on their babies too. Otherwise they won't have the water breathing powers, because we really want the medium body for the extra cold resistance. In fact, I think that's going to have to go into his other slot. I know he has some different issues too, but the toxic body is going to be far too difficult for our creatures to move around with. Now as for Trinket, I guess we should probably try our best to ensure that the medium body stays on her babies. She does have the lean body in her inactive traits, which wouldn't be the greatest to see. So let's try to keep that active in their line. We could try to weasel the normal tail onto their babies too. That might also help ensure that they don't get too cold. But at the same time, I hate to see that tail fin disappear. And the stinky tail is pretty good too in certain situations. Well, Nuvan has the medium tail. Let's just leave that slot open, I guess. We can change it around if we need to in the future. That way the option is left open for us. So fingers crossed one breeding is going to work. No, Trinket. I guess it'll take an extra day. Well, we might need to bring somebody over there to warm you guys up then. And I suppose Soul could probably do the job. He probably heard those cries for help too, so he just wants to make sure that everybody's okay out here. But it's pretty clear that these two lovebirds are doing just fine. So maybe it's time for the rest of your family to find those bunnies again. It looks like they might be hopping off in this direction. I'm sure that's something that Frost Owl can sense with that big nose of his. And he can smell some more of those delicious berries in the distance too. This is clearly Bunny Kingdom. They've taken over these parts. Now, if you guys remember on the previous island, Molassie, who was Daylight's mother, often took prophecies of the sun to mean that a baby was to be born. So in 2 days, the weather is going to be sunny, and cold of course, but at least it's going to be sunny. So maybe she's wondering if it's time for her to start a true family of her own too. So I think that's what she's going to be looking for next. Maybe as they make their way deeper into the grasses, she's really hoping that they're going to find some sort of permanent nest out here. It would be such a great place to raise their babies, even though it's a little bit overrun by bunnies. So I guess even if they don't find a nest, maybe she'll still ask Tavanku to help her build one. This stretch of land is still in the same vein as the safe haven at least, so I feel like she would still find it protected by its powers. Maybe that's even why there's so many bunnies here to begin with. They can sense the safe haven's powers too. And then, last but not least, as Tavon scoots ahead to check out this safe haven himself, he is completely unaware that his sunny arch-rival intends to use this as his base too. With a nest so near, how could he possibly not take advantage of this? And their babies could be so strong. They are clearly going to have the might of the sun rushing through their veins. So let's go ahead and place the Saber Fangs in. Or do we want to? If Daybreak passes the Berryina Snout, I'm pretty sure that the Saber Fangs are going to take priority anyways. So maybe we don't have to worry about that. Instead, let's place the Ram Horns into Izmi's mutation menu, and then Daybreak is going to need them as well, because he only has the antennas in his inactive traits, and he's not quite as connected to that side of his family. We'll place the spots into Izmi's mutation menu as well, so they can keep their sunny little freckles. But aside from that, I think we just need to breed them, and then bring Izmi straight over to the nest. It looks like somebody may have picked up a leech. Oh, that must have been you. Oh no, Frost Owl. Well, thankfully we have somebody who is very well versed in the art of picking off leeches, so you should be just fine. I guess all of that babysitting for his little brother must have paid off in a way. So we should be ready to skip the day once more and see what the very first baby born beneath the safe haven is going to look like. Oh, a beautiful little sun drop. I mean, that is definitely like the essence of the sun. It's very clear that our summer goddess favors you. And the bluebirds have finally made their grand return. How fitting that they're circling right overhead the home of our oracles, just as they're about to start their brand new branch of the family. Well, before we go any further with this, we better bring Frost Owl right out of the... Oh my gosh! Right out of the water? Oh, hello! A creature with the stripes. A beautiful, sunny creature with the stripes, in fact. We haven't seen the stripes in quite some time. Now, this would be a wonderful sign for Adam's family, if only they hadn't gotten so off track. I mean, the stripes haven't even been in our tribe since the Oasis, I believe. The only bummer is that she is unfortunately sick, and she also has some really poor fertility and the hemophilia. I wonder what Adam is trying to tell us by bringing her here. Well, first we're gonna have to chase her down, but only after Tavanku picks that leech off of you and licks your wounds too. Then we can bring Frost Owl back to the water's edge, so we can hopefully invite her to the tribe. It looks like she may have stolen our berries in the process, but I guess that's what we get for being so reckless with you, Frost Owl. The oceans are no place for a baby to play. But if Rico isn't fit as a potential mother, I wonder if perhaps she's just going to reignite the stories of Adam in our tribe. I was thinking that since our tribe has gotten so off course, maybe they wouldn't even remember those stories anymore. Lately it's just been about the sun and the shadows, almost as if they've forgotten about the mission that their family had. So for some of our creatures, this might even be a call to return to their roots. And you know, with the genetics that we have between Daylight and Tefankum, there's even a possibility that we might see the stripes on their babies too. Gosh, I wonder what Tefan would think of that. With the bluebirds looming overhead and everything, this has to be like the culmination of their visions. Everything has been leading up to this very moment. But we won't forget to name this little Sundrop. Oh, and she is so cute too. She even has her mother's swimming tail, so I guess she can swim up and down those waterfalls with ease. Maybe she could even play around with Trinket's kids. I think we'll name her Marigold. This seems like a very fitting name of somebody so bright and sunny, and it definitely fits with her father's theme of the sun as well. Now in the next episode, it'll be time for us to carve out a place for Daylight's nursery, and of course it'll be time for us to get to know Rico better as well. What sort of mysterious stories might she have to tell from those far-off distant lands? And so close to the last challenge too? Makes you wonder if maybe she came from Adam's Island after all. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!